My name is Savannah. I saw my name printed clearly at the top of my coffee receipt before I crumpled it up and tossed it in the garden's trash can on the way into work. Not that it was spelled correctly. Savannah. I'm not sure if that was what was irritating me or the iced coffees. One with a shot of espresso and 2 extra pumps of sugar, just as Katie had always preferred. I had stopped by the warehouse to visit her this morning, which I regretted immensely. I was not looking forward to going back either. I gave myself one last deep sigh before stepping out of the shoes of regular Savannah and into the role of garden's intern. I headed to the office by the petting zoo first. Step 1 was always to let Pete out for the day. I opened the door and watched Pete shoot through my legs before he did a small skid out and turned around to jump up for pets. I closed the door and caught out of the corner of my eye the reference binder on the desk. All of the rehab centers in our area, just in case we got a call and needed to direct someone. I caught myself smiling as I bent down to scratch Pete behind the ears. 5 seconds, and then he turned and started trotting his little terrier trot into the barn. I followed him diligently, feeling a little bit lighter on my feet. He likes to be the leader. I started my day feeling slightly out of sync. After all, I had been calling out of work more often than usual for personal reasons. Helga had been completely understanding, of course. Being generally dependable will get you far. As I started to open the stall doors and let the donkeys out, and then the horses, things quickly fell into place for me. The goats, at the very least, seemed happy I was there, and the day passed quickly. I had a lot to do, but for once it was something I genuinely enjoyed doing. During a lull in the zoo guests coming through, I found myself with the flat, broad forehead of a donkey pressed into my chest and stomach. As I scritched him behind his long ears, I thought about how incredible these guys really were. I mean, yeah, he was being so sweet and docile now, but I'd seen how these guys grabbed the mountain lions around the neck and slammed them into the ground. They would even fight off wolves. As soon as I thought of the wolves, the smile creeped across my face. I couldn't wait. I am finally going to fix this. It had only been a couple of months since it happened, and I had thought about that wolf every day. Sometimes fleetingly, but when I had time to sit and think, plan after plan had gone through my mind. I had searched every rehab center within a 50-mile radius of Ocean Grove that were capable of handling large predators like wolves. Most of my searches had come up empty. Finally, I had narrowed it down to one, and today was the day I was going to find out for myself. But first, I needed to get through this shift. Chelsea, as per usual, was finding ways to look busy instead of doing her work, but I didn't care. I was enjoying tending to the petting zoo. It was a nice change of pace. Most likely no one here would die from something I asked them to do. While I was showing an enthusiastic kid how to pet our tortoise, Lightning, and by that I mean repeatedly moving his hand away from his beak, Helga walked into the fenced-off area and called out to Chelsea and I. We were to join her in her office as soon as we could. Chelsea hopped off the elevated platform for the goats and walked over immediately. I stayed to make sure no other children were at risk of losing their fingers and latched up the gates so no one would accidentally let anyone out while we were busy. As I went to the office expecting some sort of lecture or punishment, I was surprised to see Helga smiling. There were 2 carriers on the floor in the middle of the room, and climbing in Chelsea's lap was a young bobcat. Helga explained they had just come in for the zoo's native species program. They had been rescued from someone's basement. Someone found kittens in the woods and thought they would take it as a house pet before realizing that these were not domestic cats. It was too late then. The damage was done. Habituated bobcats. Anyways, Helga thought we would get a kick out of seeing them and had brought them in. As one lolled in Chelsea's lap and the other pretended to get scared and arched its back like a Halloween cutout of a cat before running sideways right into my legs. It turned and started climbing up my body. That didn't feel wonderful, but it was very cute. I scooped it up as soon as it got to my hip and gave it a place to perch in my arms. They seemed to like that a lot. And as it started to crouch down and get ready to leap, one of its massive paws settled over my hand and almost reflexively, I started to focus. The bobcat stopped, went lax in my arms, and started to purr. Chelsea commented on how cute it was that they must really like me. I didn't say anything. I didn't want to lie. After one of the young bobcats leapt onto a shelf and knocked over an entire volume of records on the animals, Helga decided that was enough and sent us back to work. The rest of the day flew by. As the sun started its descent, I was sweeping some of the loose grain in the yard from where 2 kids had been taken down by a rambunctious goat. It headbutted them and spilled their tiny cups of feed. Then above me, I heard the settling of wings. I looked up and saw a crow perched on one of the nearby roofs, and they looked back at me, recognizing me. It was the one that Kamren had named Earth. It let out 2 sharp caws, and as I put the broom away, I thought, I think I'll join you, before heading to my locker.
You hear the caws over the sound of the wind that flows through your feathers. You soar next to 2 crows high above you, near the outskirts of Ocean Grove. And then another joins you on the way as well. Where are you headed?
East. Headed east towards Redding, California specifically.
As you head east, you fly for about 2 hours. You've planned your route, and you know where you need to go. It would be much quicker if you could just fly the straight line, but since you need to follow the street signs, it's a little bit more slow going. You fly, and the sun that was high in the sky is still pretty high, but it's lowered some. But the heat still gives your wings the relief of a thermal for you to soar on. The crows follow you on your flight, occasionally calling out to you and each other. As you follow your route, you see a highway sign that reads Redding, next exit. Just as you notice a time on a bank clock nearby, and it's getting close for you to time to demorph. And you know from this exit, the NorCal Predator Center is only a few miles away from where you are.
All right. Can I see anywhere nearby that would be hidden enough to go and demorph?
Roll me a perception check.
Would you like a 16 and or a 16?
I'll take them both.
32 it is.
You look around and you see there is like this bridge that crosses over one of these, a river that kind of flows through. In there is like a pipe that kind of leads under the road. So like you could go back in there and probably demorph.
How deep is the water in there though?
These pipes seem like they drain out into the river, not like, letting it in. So like right now it's just like a shallow stream.
Okay. And it's, I'm imagining it's like not moving super fast. It's kind of like just
right.
Okay. I basically want to make sure that if I'm going to try and land in there with my crow body, that I'm not going to have my talons swept out from under me or anything like that.
Yeah, you should be good to do that.
Okay. Then I will probably caw towards the crows just for fun. And then swoop down there and try to land.
Yeah. You swoop down and land, and they follow you down and perch on the rafters that are on like the bridge. Just look down at you.
Hopefully not as they creep into the tunnel a little ways.
Yeah, then they start preening their feathers.
Excellent. How high off the ground is this? Is it just kind of like slow stream into a river, like just little step down?
Yeah, pretty much. That's pretty much all it is just like a little step down into the stream.
Okay, great. I would hate to find out there's a 30-foot drop right after demorphing. Okay, yes, I will start demorphing.
And there's even like the tunnel that you're in even has like a recess in it. So like you won't even be seen under the bridge. Like you're in the recess of the tunnel. Like it's a tunnel, so you can go in it a little bit.
As like the last of the feathers, I'm imagining like the lower feathers of the crow were the last things that kind of spiral back into her face, and she returns to normal. Her ears go from slightly different heights on her head to center to creeping up as she starts her next immediate morph. You hear the cracking of her spine as it kind of rearranges and then elongates, and her limbs kind of stay the same length relative to her body, but her body starts shrinking and slurping down, and then her muzzle kind of extends out a little bit. You see the teeth as they kind of extend out into the canine somewhat, and then the brown fur sprouts all over her body, and her eyes kind of turn into the brown, soft eyes of a dog. And then her nose just like bubbles up and then kind of gets like reformed back into the like wet dog nose. And she's become Awesome Possum.
You stand as Awesome Possum inside this tunnel.
And now she's going to sniff around for a second. What information is immediately available to me?
The stream doesn't smell great. It's like a sewage runoff, maybe. Give me a perception check as Awesome Possum.
No problem.
No problem. 13. You also smell there is a deer not too far away, like outside of this ditch. You smell 3 crows up in the rafters above you, and some water, a stream flowing near you, along with a plethora of other smells that kind of catch your attention for a minute until the next one does.
Excellent. Can I smell, like, is there any recent, like, gasoline smell or anything, like, of cars passing? Like, I'm just trying to get an idea of, like, how busy the road is. And I know I've been following it, so I probably have kind of an idea. But now that I'm at, like, a section where it's crossroads, I imagine it'll be different.
As you were, like, traveling, it was kind of, like, midday. Towards the end of your flight, you saw traffic starting to get a little bit heavier. But this is also, like, you're going to like more of a rural area.
Rural, you nailed it.
Yeah, rural area, and so like it's nothing like Ocean Grove's traffic, but you do smell like gasoline every now and then. Like a car, maybe the longest it'll go is like maybe 2 minutes without a car.
Okay. Then Savannah, as Awesome Possum, is just going to kind of hop down out of this little recessed tunnel and start heading in the direction that she was already headed, kind of checking in scent-wise every once in a while. Like, instead of trying to follow the road signs and trying to use that dog vision to read a ton, now she's going to kind of head that direction and try to pick up the scent of the animals that would be at that center.
Let's do survival. Give me a survival roll as Possum. 14. So you follow the smell of this gasoline and the way you were going, and you're looking for the gasoline to stop, kind of like you're trying to get away from it a little bit, because you know that the center sits like kind of on the outskirts of Reading, near the Sacramento River. Like that kind of hugs one side of the center. And using that knowledge, and like when you were overhead, you got a lay of the land. You find your way there. You start to pick up the scent of bigger predators than you, and many different scents. At least 5 different ones as you get closer.
Do I know what those scents are, or do I not?
I'll say with that 14, you know that 2 of them then are canine scents, like your same cousins, like a cousin of a dog. A wolfish, one might be a wolf.
I don't have to pump you for information. I just need to stop talking for a while and just let you work your way into it.
You don't know. You can't tell which wolf, though. Maybe not the wolf you're looking for. But yeah, you figure out how to get there.
The first thing that she is going to do when she gets there is run the perimeter, like try to stay out of sight, especially if there's cameras or anything like that. Not for like the express purpose of she cares so much if she's caught on a camera, but just to try and like get the lay of the land around here, and to note where they might be and to note where the entrance is. And then she's looking for things that are like anywhere that she can kind of see while she's passing these cages, if anything, that might have like information on them, like of what's being kept in there, that kind of thing.
Okay, roll me a perception check.
The only one I specifically like really like kind of want to hone in with scent to is like the entryway, smelling like where people's shoes have gone, where they walk, like where people come in and out all day, as opposed to where, like I'm imagining like when you're dropping off animals, like specific sets of people are back there and specifics, like anyone comes in through one way. Not that it matters that much with that roll.
You start to run the perimeter, and as you do, you run right into a skunk that surprises you and sprays you. And so you can't get any kind of sense, and this kind of throws you off and discombobulates you for a minute.
I am fully rubbing my face on like the leaves and detritus on the forest floor, like just trying to get the scent away from my nose.
Yeah, it's gross, but
Yeah, I didn't think it was really going to help. I am close to the river, though, yeah?
Yes. You can see it from where you are.
I'm just going to head that way. It'll help a little. It won't help much. Actually, that's not true. Hang on one second. Back it up. I don't run into the river. That's a terrible idea now that I'm thinking through how the chemistry of skunks works. Nope. Don't run through the river. Back that up completely.
You start to it and then remember your facts and stop.
Yep. And then stop immediately and just keep going around the perimeter. Just visual checks now for a minute.
So I'm going to say because of that, for at least for now, your smell perception.
I don't get advantage on it.
You don't get advantage on it for now.
Bummer.
This part of the area that you're in is kind of, shielded with more brush, and it's like there's overgrown bushes and trees that just kind of block around. You can see the back of buildings as you run around the back, but you can't get a direct line on anybody. You see people walking and hearing them talk, but you can't count them out from where you are right now.
But I'm hearing people talking and walking around, so I'm thinking it's somewhat busy.
You hear at least two voices.
Okay, I'm going to back off a little ways back into the woods. Not just 20 feet, a ways back, probably a quarter mile at least. And then I'm going to start demorphing. So she starts demorphing from Awesome Possum, and it's kind of almost like a werewolf-esque as she's coming back up, shoulders hunching upwards as her hip bones correct to stand upright and the tail starts slurping in. But then it's almost where it hit Possum in the face, all of the skunk oil kind of almost scalding. The fur recedes in there based on where the oils and stuff are, and she has it on her own face. And as her arms kind of return to human arms and the fur goes away, she's wiping at her own face and kind of ugh, gross. And then she's gonna morph immediately again.
As you start to morph, you hear caw above you, and you see the crow has followed you.
Why? I'm going to pause. I'm going to watch that crow for a minute.
It just preens its feathers, and you see the other two. They're up there too.
Why? Why, Austin? Can I insight check the crows?
Yeah, sure.
Would that be insight or animal handling? What are we doing?
What are you doing as you look at them?
I am observing closely to see if there's any sort of because I don't understand why they would follow this possum. They might know my possum, but this one looks different, and crows are very visually astute, and I don't know why they would follow me.
Let's roll both of them.
Translate that into your... Okay. And I do believe I get advantage on that second one. So
I'll say with both of those combined, you know how animals work. You've maybe even handled this exact crow before. I think that there's no rhyme or reason exactly why. They're just connected to you, to Savannah, and they flew all the way here with you, and they saw you walk in and come out. I think this crow in particular, with that animal handling check, he knows that you all changed shape. What you get without him being able to say anything, he just knows. He kind of knows.
Okay.
I'll say, though, also with that 21, the other two don't look familiar to you. You don't think they're part of the murder that's at Pacific Towers. You think they just joined this crow as you and him flew off from the gardens.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, I was like, who's following me and why? All right, after she ascertains that she doesn't think this is anyone, these are genuine crows, then I think she will begin her morph.
What are you going to now?
The only true predator of skunks, the great horned owl. Not because I'm going to get revenge on the skunk, just because they can't smell, so it doesn't affect any of my perception checks, and I don't want to smell it anymore. once again, much like Savannah was focused on her face when demorphing from Awesome Possum, she's going to be focused on that and like getting rid of the smell as fast as possible. So I think the first thing that happens is her nose, the skin splits back and recedes, and you can see that like nasal kind of cartilage right there before it starts turning black and then growing and reforming into the beak of the owl. And then the feathers kind of circle in around her eyes. You see the ears completely like twist up onto opposite sides of the head, one high and one low. That's right, because owls' ears are at different heights. That helps them with triangulation. Cool fun fact that you would know if you know about owls. And then the feathers, the big horn feathers start to grow out before all of the rest of them kind of ruffle in behind it. While that is all happening, the rest of her body is turning into that horrific Slender Man kind of like naked chicken look with these skinny little like wings. They don't look like chicken wings. They look like those really thin, gross, pink, disgusting kind of things. And like you can see that keel grow in the middle of her chest, and then it kind of like shapes into that kind of triangular domish thing. But there's still no feathers on her as her legs are like twisting together into the talons that are making her feet swell up and balloon up. And then as the feathers kind of grow in, it's that quick, like they're growing into like the shaft and the rachis and then splitting apart into all the different silent, soft feathers. And then she is fully owl.
Perfect.
Gross. I'm going to go fly overhead and take a listen on there. I am going to cheat it away from the crows, especially since only one kind of has an idea. So it's definitely going to be like a little bit low to the ground. And then as I think I'm kind of maybe out of their sight line, I'll float up and go over.
They do flock away like a couple of branches.
Well, at least they didn't attack me, bro.
Yeah, the one stays, but the other two like kind of flutter up into the air.
Lucky break.
Yeah, and you swoop off low and then start to climb.
I'm listening in on the people at the center. I'm flying right overhead and getting in trees and listening in.
Yeah, give me a perception check.
It is a 22.
22 hits. Oh, it hits the perception.
And they're dead.
They're all dead. Dead silent.
I mean, that is why an owl's wings, in part, are so quiet. Because if it would be too loud for them to like hear their prey over. It doesn't matter. We can continue.
Because their ears are in different places. I learned that today.
That's why when you see them doing that like head bobbing thing where they're like circling like that, it's literally because the sound hits their ears at different rates. So then they know exactly where it is, like left, right, and then they can focus like up, down. So it literally is like, that's exactly what they're doing.
The Doppler effect.
Yeah, exactly. And they're using it with the two different heights of their ears to focus in on exactly where the sound is.
That's cool as hell. Mm-hmm. So what you hear just as you're kind of perching, looking around and listening, you hear people, just kind of going about their day. They're talking about some of the animals you can see, and a guy's kind of walking around with a clipboard, and there's like a person in these like blue scrubs that's following them. Definitely themed for like this kind of place, like their scrubs are. They're like a wildlife, veterinarian's office.
It's like the exact same scrubs as human scrubs, but instead of like when it says their name, instead of MD, it's DVM.
Yep, you got it. And yeah, they're just giving updates on these different animals around here, and they're telling basically what they need to have done before the regular techs leave for the day. So like there is somebody that stays overnight there, and he'll like say that as he's talking. He'll be like, yeah, I'm on call tonight, I'm staying over, and but I need all this done before anybody leaves today. This guy that is basically telling everybody he's not dressed in scrubs. He's actually dressed in khaki shorts and shin-high black boots and a blue button-up short-sleeve shirt. And he has like, the only way I know how to describe it is like the hats like Aussies wear, like Crocodile Dundee would wear. He has one of those hats on. Like
the big floppy, like almost cowboy hats, but like floppier kind of a thing. Okay.
Yep. He's wearing that, and he's walking around talking to one of these techs that's just in the scrubs. What you see as you kind of perch on one branch, look around, perch on another. So that's what you hear. You hear that guy. You also see a few cameras. So like each corner basically has a camera, but those are the only cameras you see.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that makes sense.
So like the main building sits up front. It has a couple of other buildings near it. In the back, you see a building that kind of looks like a storage unit. This also looks like a storage shed. On the outside of these buildings, you see that they're fenced enclosures. You see some of them have larger animals in them. You see a couple coyotes, a bobcat pacing back and forth. You see a blackberry or a black bear sitting down eating berries off a mulberry tree that has grown into his enclosure. The whole property is fenced off, barbed wire on the tops of the fences. And then one side is surrounded by the Sacramento River. And you see the main gate is up front and that there's like a gravel road that leads up to it.
Blackberry is a fantastic name for a black bear.
Yeah. That's this one's name. No, they can't name this one cool, right? They're not cool.
Well, they probably don't name the animals they're going to release, at least not publicly.
All right. You see this one's chart that's hanging on its cage says Blackberry the bear.
He's a permanent resident, educational bear.
Mm-hmm.
Aw.
You see like one of his paws is missing. So he eats the blackberries with his other paw. Or the mulberries.
From a bear trap?
Yeah.
I can't. I'm genuinely making myself sad about this bear that doesn't exist. I can't do this.
Poor bear.
Poor bear. God, humans are awful. All right. Hey, I see a wolf.
Mm-hmm.
Can I take a closer look, see if that's my wolf?
Yeah, that's you also do see a wolf in one of these enclosures, and as you kind of fly and get closer to it, it's not.
It's not. Interesting. Okay. Then I am flying around, listening in, trying to find out more.
As you fly towards the front, give me another perception check.
19.
You hear a man's voice coming from inside this main building. He seems like he's taking calls. He's on the phone with somebody and he's saying, yeah, we could send somebody out there whenever. If you need us to pick up an injured animal or an animal that is invading the suburbs, we can do that as well. What kind of animal is it? A raccoon? Oh, I'm sorry. We only deal with predators. Yeah. You have to call animal control for the raccoons. Yep. Nope. Well, that's not very nice. I'm sorry. We can't help you. No. Okay. Well, fuck you too then. And he hangs up.
What was the other person saying?
They were... You just heard... You might have picked up what they were... Some of the words. They didn't seem happy that this person wasn't coming to get their raccoon. They
sure didn't. Okay. I'm listening out for more, and I'm kind of going to start to try and... Like, I'm trying to pick out people talking for sure, because that's the easiest way, I think, for Savannah to gather information. But I think she's going to start listening out for, like, the sound of, like, scrabbling. Is there digging? Is there bite? Like, she's listening for sounds of, like, what other building are they containing animals in here?
I'm going to say with your 19, as you, like, were flying around, you've heard scratching and kind of moving around in this big back building back here that you, like, you know for a fact there's animals in there. You also hear sounds coming from this building here on the right. That building, you hear people talking in there, and it sounds like they're going through an operation. It ends with, okay, start the sedation, get her ready for post-op, but keep her sedated. And then you hear like the snap of a glove come off and somebody walk away. And 3 people are in this building. You kind of pinpoint doing different things now.
Okay. I'm listening for a second longer. And then I think I'm going to morph again. I'm probably going to head out of, like, unless this is a massive tree, I'm going to kind of head out from where I am behind the perimeter again, but not too far. I'm going to use those senses to kind of find like a little hidey hole, secluded place. And I'm going to go there and demorph.
No problem. You find a nice secluded place.
Cool. And then I'll start morphing again. Immediately, she starts just shrinking super, super tiny and small, which is great because it's less disgusting when, like, from her torso, just holes open up and then this gross legs start growing in these jointed segments from there, and then her hands like turning into like mittens and then like breaking out into like the kind of like Spock gloves with the 2 sides there, and then all of the hair spreading over there, and then as her eyes kind of swell up and bulge into these like massive like orange size protrusions on her face, and it looks disgusting when it's still her like green eyes, but then all of a sudden they shatter into all of the different tiny little parts, and then her back kind of like as she's shrinking, it's almost like there's this weird like lace pattern that appears down it, and then it just kind of like paper almost like pulls up, and she has these gossamer fly wings, and now she's just a tiny little fly. Just a tiny little fly.
Which fly morph did you go to? You have 2 of them?
Great question. Let me just take a quick comparison. I'm going to pick the one with the better stats, obviously.
Okay.
I think they're the exact fucking same, Austin.
How lazy of me.
I don't think it was. I think it was dickish of me to record 2 flies.
No. I should have rolled stats for each one of those flies.
Of course you should have. I'll be using the top fly, please.
Shit, I grabbed the bottom.
Okay, I'll be doing the bottom fly, please.
Well, I just dragged the top one on.
Fucking hell. All right, the top one it is.
You get what you want.
I'm gonna go ahead and just do a quick like around. I'm gonna try to get into that hospital room.
Yeah, you fly back and you see like a broken up picture of everything around you, and it just makes sense. Yeah, you fly back through the fence, and give me a an investigation check as you kind of search around this building for a way in.
Hey, can I use my Savannah stats for that instead of my fly stats?
Yeah.
What a great day. I hope I remembered the one that you said correctly.
As you like kind of fly around, I will say you do see into a window, and you see that this is like a medical area. Looks like operating table in there. There are smaller stalls for them to like wash off animals if they need to. They have cages in there. Just everything you would need to do medical things to animals.
I'm going in.
Well, you can't get in. That's the only problem.
Why?
Because the window's closed, and they like to keep it a sterile environment for the surgery. So there's
What about the door?
Door's closed right now.
What about under the door?
Yeah, you searched around and you can't find a good way in.
But I can see into the building?
You can see in through like a window.
Does it look like people are like walking past? And like if I hung out on this window for a while, do you think I'd be able to see like what they're moving for post-op?
You see that they have moved from like the area they were like operating on. There's not too much blood. Like that's something that you noticed. There's not too much blood like around, but they've moved whatever animal it was away from there. And you see like a curtain is kind of pulled, or you kind of see figures kind of moving behind there, shadows of them. And like as they like a woman kind of steps out for a second and goes back behind there like she's doing something. You see a woman walking back and forth in scrubs as well. As an owl, you heard 3 people in here, though.
Okay. I'm going to hang out for a little bit longer and see if at any point they, like, pull that curtain back or anything that I can kind of, like, even just get like a sense of scale, right? Like if they're operating on like a rabbit, that's going to be different than if they're operating on a bear, than if they're operating on a bird. Like, you know, I'm just trying to get like a sense of, and I know they only do predators, but like I'm thinking like fox, wolf, coyote, bear kind of thing. Like I just want to try to figure out what it is that they're working on.
Give me another investigation check or perception, whichever you prefer. 23. So you kind of look around and you see them you're trying to figure out how big this thing is. You see a man now walk from behind the curtain into like another room, and then he's like wheeling back in a cage that looks pretty big. Like you could probably not stand fully upright in this cage. Like you'd have to bend down some, but you could like stand up and kind of walk in if you ducked your head. So you assume that this is for an animal that's a little bit bigger than normal, like no rabbit or anything like that. Something about the size of that wolf.
What's something about the size of that wolf?
Could fit in this cage.
I gotta break in here. I'm feeling like I'm hot on the trail of something. I gotta break in here.
How much longer do you wait before you try to break in?
I know where the doors are, correct?
Yes.
And I saw where that man walked in from. Like directionally. I'm gonna go hang out by that door.
The door to the to lead into here is like the north side of this building.
I'm gonna go hang out by the door.
Yeah, you like kind of flutter or fly around, zipping, zapping, and you get over to where that door is, and you kind of chill out for a minute. About 5 minutes go past. You do see this Neil guy walking back and forth. You figure out his name is Neil by somebody saying, "Hey Neil, where do you want this wheelbarrow?" And he says, "Put it over there in the storage area." All right, Neil.
And can I see well enough that I can see like the movement of where they're going towards the storage area? Like just for mapping this out in my own head.
They go up to the top right storage area.
Sweet. Check that off the list.
Got it. You know where the wheelbarrows are.
I know where the wheelbarrows go. I'm going to show up here one day and just as I almost said in human morph, just as my human self, I'm going to be like, "Don't worry, guys, I got the wheelbarrows." And they're going to be like, "How? You've never been here before." And I'll be like, "Doesn't matter."
I know where
wheelbarrows
go.
look like idiots.
Idiotics. Guess what you see after 10 minutes?
Someone come out the door?
Yep. And guess what? They're pushing a cage on wheels. You see this woman in a pink shirt and blue jeans with long, thinning blonde hair pushing the cart with a sedated cougar inside it.
Where are they headed?
This woman is pushing.
What's her name?
Well, as she pushes the cart out, she says, "Hey, Neil, what enclosure is this cougar going in?" And you see Neil walk up to her and he says, "That cougar is class 2. They called the private contractor on her. They should be here soon enough to take her. Like they did that wolf a few weeks ago. Or was it a couple of months ago?" Kind of looks up in the air. And the woman says, "Well, why didn't they take that other wolf?" And then Neil says, "I don't know. It wasn't big enough." She says, "It looks pretty big to me." And then Neil says, "Well, Amanda, we're all tiny humans. Those things will rip us limb for limb if they really wanted. Anyways, just take this sleepy kitty to Cage P and clean up around that area for me, would you? The pickup crew shouldn't be too long." And she nods to him, and Amanda starts to wheel the cougar towards the front.
I'm afraid to look. She's not letting the cougar out in this cage, right?
No. It's sedated, and she's just taking it to like this holding area down here by Cage P.
Cool. Like they're not going to let a cougar that just went through surgery like wake up from sedation and go into like a large enclosure, right? No,
she is putting it in that enclosure, but she's not letting it out of the one it's in.
Cool. Just making sure. I'm following them. Who's this fucking private contractor that took the wolf that I'm looking for is my next question. I say to myself in my own head as I'm flying after them.
You fly after them past the coyotes, near the bobcat enclosure, and down towards Cage P that's towards the entrance. Amanda always stays near enough to the cage that she can see it. Like, she's watching this cougar and making sure everything's okay with it, but she's also moving around this area, straightening up. Like, she'll go in the storage shed and straighten up in there, grab some hedge clippers, start to trim some of the bushes and stuff that are around. She'll go over and just like check on the black bear and blackberry. And wait a minute, was that what it was? Yeah, blackberry and this wolf that you don't recognize. And yeah, you'll just watch her do that for a while.
All right. So it's old growth forest around here. That's what we're saying.
Yeah.
There's like thicker trees. I think Savannah's going to go and try to find like a tree that is within sightline of this cougar cage, and that she could reasonably like go up in there and demorph and like not fall out of this tree while she's demorphing. And she's going to go attempt that.
Yeah. You can find one with a thick enough branch that you know it could hold you.
And she's going to hang out and wait.
Just as human, just up in the tree? Okay.
Yep.
About 45 minutes to an hour go past. It's hard to kind of tell because you don't have a watch or anything on you, but that's what you assume based on, the sun setting a little bit more. And then a huge truck starts to make its way up this gravel road. As it gets a little bit closer, you see it's gray, and it kind of looks like it's a big box truck, but like bigger than normal box trucks that you've seen. On the side of it, it has a marquee of, there's some words that say Rhubarb Biostudies in red letters on the side of it. And as it kind of pulls up to the closed gate, a man gets out of the passenger seat, and he's dressed in like a gray jumpsuit with the same logo that's on the truck on the back of his jumpsuit. And as he kind of comes out, you see Neil make his way towards him as well. And they kind of greet each other. And it's a little bit too far away for you to be able to hear their conversation. Like, you can see them, and they just look like they're exchanging pleasantries. And as they're doing that, Amanda begins to wheel the cage out of Cage P and up towards the front. They open the main gates for the truck to come in, and that seems to be where Amanda is kind of bringing this cage with the cougar in it.
That's not the same name as the orca study.
Or is it?
They weren't rhubarb. They were a different fruit. Wasn't it? Or was it rhubarb?
Rhubar. But yes.
Rhubar.
Yes.
Different. Okay. Yeah, well, that's weird. I don't like that. Box truck. So box truck, front truck, it's attached. There's like a little part top of the truck and then up into the back. So there's like a little alcove right behind where the cab of the truck is.
Yeah, it's not connected to the cab of the truck.
Oh, so it's like a truck, like a big truck.
You're right. A box truck is how you described it. I was thinking one that's not connected. So you were right. That is what a box truck is. But this is like a box truck, except it's not connected.
I'm just glad that you reassure me in my experiences of what I think trucks are.
I'm mansplaining trucks. I'm
no
the worst.
You weren't mansplaining trucks. You were explaining the truck in this specific scenario and how it is different from just a box truck. Because I'm morphing again. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, you start to morph.
It is very similar to before with shrinking down, except I think the wings come out when she's still really close to full size. So it's like really gigantic gossamer wings and like all of the legs kind of like coming back out. Like out of her torso and all of the hairs growing in gigantic. Basically, she becomes like full fly, like eyes splitting out, and then shrinks down last.
All right, yeah, you're a fly. And as you finish this morphing, your vision kind of spreads and you can kind of see everything. You see the truck come to a stop inside the gated area, and a heavy-set, muscular woman gets out of the driver's side and helps Amanda load up the cage.
Love her. She's cool as hell. Who is this?
She's down by Amanda now.
Fucking look at this secret agent ass woman. She's the coolest character you've ever come up with, Austin.
Thanks. She has a gray jumpsuit on too.
I don't think she does. I think it's covered up by a cool coat with a fur-lined hood, Austin.
Well, she unrolls the top part of the jumpsuit, revealing her white t-shirt and throws on a leather jacket with a sheepskin hood collar.
So afraid that jacket was under the jumpsuit. Such fear. I have never known such fear in one of your games before.
She rolls her jumpsuit back up over the jacket.
No.
I need to make you
Austin.
scared. She just helps Amanda load the cougar up into the not box truck. Almost box truck.
And a fly.
Oh, and a fly buzzes on in. After they finish loading it up, Amanda will say, "Oh, thank you for helping me." And she'll say, "No problem."
This is the coolest character that's ever existed.
And they both get out and she shuts the back of the truck.
Is this Colossus's younger sister? I know this wasn't her power set in X-Men, but is it?
Yes.
Amazing. I can't remember her name off the top of my head. Nate is screaming at me right now. I can hear it.
Hi, Nate.
Ilyana Rasputin.
Neil and this other guy exchange paperwork, and then once they're finished, they shake hands, make a little small talk. You just hear all of this outside of the box truck. They're loud, and then you hear the man say, "Ilyana, let's pack it up and get out of here." Yes, and they get into the
comrade.
Da, comrade, we go now.
We fuck off.
We fuck off.
Stop having so much fun. This is serious, Austin.
Come on, man. You feel the truck start up, back up, move forward. You hear gates close behind you as you travel down a gravel road. And you travel for a long time. You get stuck in Flymore if you travel so long because you don't demorph. I know you wouldn't.
Oh, yeah?
Not at a time like this. All right, well, do you demorph then?
I think if she's thinking she's getting close to the time limit, she's going to be buzzing around back there. Like, she's not just staying, like, with the cougar. She's, like, exploring the back of this box truck. So, like, depending on how long it is, like, if it's genuinely, like, she's afraid that she's approaching the 2-hour limit, she's going to look for a spot back there that she can kind of get behind a cage, behind if there's anything else in there.
So as you kind of fly around this box truck for at least an hour, you see that they have whatever they would need to kind of wrangle these big predators, like those long poles with like the lasso thing at the end. They have other cages, they have muzzles, they have, different stuff to restrain animals. And I mean, this cage is locked in. It has like these metal clamps on the floor that kind of lock into the cage so it doesn't move around while they're driving. There is like one crate that looks like it might have some kind of supplies that's kind of like strapped to the side of the wall. And that sits about 4 feet high. But yeah, that's what you kind of see in the back of this truck.
No cameras up top for observing like what's going on or anything from the cab of the truck.
Give me a perception check.
Okie dokie. That's a terrible maneuver that I have done. Top fly it is.
Top fly of the world. It's 8. Not great, but still.
Better than -3.
I'll say, like, as you kind of like look around and you know where you're kind of looking, you don't see an obvious camera. You will see like that there are lights that are kind of set up there, and there is like a like black bar that goes across the top of the truck. This truck looks high tech. I will say you notice that.
Savannah's going in that crate that's strapped to the wall.
Mm-hmm.
She's going to go and she's going to demorph in there if she truly thinks she's running up on the 2-hour time limit at this point.
I'll say just give me a flat intelligence roll.
Watch me completely bomb this.
Yeah, you don't think you think you still have a little bit of time, but like you've been in here a while. So like just with that 9, that's what you get.
She's going to push it a little bit, but she is sitting there going, I wish Aximili were here right now. This is not good.
Yeah, so you ride a little bit longer. I will say the truck, after about another 10 minutes or so, you feel it kind of pull off, slow down, and the doors open to the front, but nobody comes to the back or anything.
Okay. So we're just hanging out back here, this cougar and I, in a truck that's just stopped.
Yep.
How close do I think I am to the 2-hour time limit at this point?
Past the hour mark. Probably getting closer to the 1.5 hour mark is what you're thinking.
And I don't hear anything coming from outside?
Roll a perception check. That's a 15.
Well, things went exceedingly better for me than I thought they were going to.
I'll say now that like the car's not moving, there's like these little openings towards the top, like just
like the air vents.
Yes.
Sweet.
You can kind of fly up there now that the wind's not kind of coming through them and kind of see out of it, and you're at a gas station.
Okay. So we're gonna pick up on the move again soon. Okay, this is interesting. What else can I see at the gas station?
Just being in here, like you see that there's other cars kind of pulling up and getting out, people getting their gas. You see the big muscular woman walk into the gas station. What is there anything in particular you're looking for out here?
Signage. Not that I could potentially read it, but something that's going to give me a quick idea of where I am.
So from inside here with that perception check, you don't see any. You're at an angle where you're just facing straight towards the gas station. You assume like there might be some signs to the right or left of where you're facing, but from where you are right now, you can't see any.
Okay. But the truck power's off, so I think I'm going to take a quick opportunity to fly down. The power should theoretically be off, but it is high tech. Theoretically, if the engine's not powered up, it shouldn't be powering the stuff back here. If it's human tech, theoretically.
With your perception check, I will say you hear like a small hum coming from like the back of this truck.
Okay, but it's a big truck. It's tall. It's wide. Everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I sneak out the air vent?
Yeah, as you're in your fly morph, for sure.
Yeah. I'm gonna take a demorph and a remorph up on the top of this truck.
On top of the truck?
If it's high, it's wide, I can go flat, I can hide. I'm a little kid. I'm very short. It's relatively small.
Mm-hmm. You fly up to the top of this truck and flatten out as a fly. Start your demorph.
Okay.
Give me a stealth check.
With
you
advantage?
can use yours or the flies with this.
Oh, okay.
23. So as you start to expand and like grow on top of this wide, huge truck, your fly body, this morph actually helps you stay kind of lower to the top of the truck as you're morphing. Like your body just kind of flattens out as it grows instead of, the bones going into the place they're supposed to. It almost looks like a sloshy slime liquid kind of expands out as your fly body turns into your human. And you are flat on top of this truck as you finish your demorph.
And back.
To fly?
I'm just refreshing it. Yeah, that's all I'm doing.
You finish your morph. Nobody the wiser, but as you kind of finish that, you hear the click of the gas handle being stopped and taken out and put back into the holster, and the gas can getting shut, and you see the muscular woman, Ileana, walking back out to the driver's side.
I'm going to morph. I'm getting back in the truck.
Yeah, you're morphed. You fly back in.
Fly back in the truck.
And then a couple of seconds later, it starts up and takes off. You keep going.
I'm in the truck as a fly, hanging out.
You feel as if another hour has passed.
This is so far away.
Yeah. So what happens after about another hour and a half?
Are you asking me?
Well, yeah, what do you do?
I mean, I think I'm gonna try to wait. I'm gonna try to go. I mean, it's my sense of time, so I don't truly know that, obviously it's not gonna be like an Andalite sense where you're right down to the wire there. But hopefully Savannah kind of has this is how Alex would do it. So this is how I'm imagining Savannah would do it. Straight up going through your playlist in your head that you kind of know the duration of the songs for. So she's trying to keep a timestamp. That's not super accurate, but you can be okay, this is 2 songs. That's about 7 minutes. And I think that's just how she's kind of doing it. So she's going to try to go to 145 in her head. Okay.
About that time when you think you're pushing up on the 145, you're getting that antsy feeling am I close enough or not? Should I open the microwave before it dings or whatever?
A conversation apparently Austin has every time he uses the microwave.
My stomach starts to turn. Don't let it ding.
You watch the hot dog ends explode out and you're do I leave it or not?
I would never eat a microwave hot dog. Yes, I would. I'm not too good for that.
So I genuinely feel as though I am in danger. The truck is showing no signs of slowing?
No, not at the moment. You just feel like you're about to approach that time.
I'm going back up to that air vent. And I know it's going to be what I want to do is fly up there, cling upside down, and I'm going to try to grip as hard as I can and kind of slowly crawl out. I'm just seeing if I can withstand this.
So it is, as you get up there and cling to the ceiling, you feel the whoosh of the air vent, and you feel like if you get closer, it will be very hard to hold on with your little fly body. It might pull you right out.
I'm going to kind of dither there, kind of on the cusp of where that wind is going to potentially suck my fly body out, and just for a minute or two, and just kind of debate. I could probably find this truck again. I could probably, if I get sucked out of here and I go to the side of the road, if I can find a place fast enough to demorph and remorph, I could probably go owl and I could probably find this truck again. Is that Bobcat stirring at all?
The cougar is...
Cougar. Sorry, cougar.
It is not.
Okay.
You see there is an IV kind of hook to it that is keeping it sedated.
Yeah, this is buck wild. I think she will try to cling to the truck, but go out the air vent. I think it's getting to that point where she's nervous enough about it that she is going to attempt to crawl back onto the roof and hope that her weight can kind of hold her, but she's just gonna try it.
Give me a strength save as you get a little bit closer to this vent. Need to be a 10.
Nice strength. Well, that's not gonna fucking happen.
Yep. You get close to the vent and you cling on as hard as you can with your little fly legs, and you just shoot out the vent, tumbling end over end. Roll a dex save to right yourself.
Oh, okie dokie. No worries.
Two ends of the spectrum, you right yourself as the box truck pulls down the road further and further away from you.
And then what do I immediately see around me?
You see there's like a little tree line next to you. There are like a couple of buildings kind of spread out, 100 feet or so from each other, just like a little souvenir shop. You feel like you're like still on the outskirts of some kind of city.
Souvenir shop. Okay. I'm immediately going to the roof of that souvenir shop.
It says, you see the sign on the outside. It says Ocean Grove Collectibles.
All right. She's landing on that roof, and literally before her fly legs even touch down, she's demorphing.
Thud. Your little fly body makes a little on the top of the roof as it gets heavier, and you demorph. You are Savannah.
For but a brief moment before she goes to Owl. And again, like, I think before that morph is even finished, like as soon as she kind of like feels that like all of her bones kind of like and like turn into that honeycomb structure, she's trying to like launch off this building. Like she's flapping up and struggling.
When you first jump, you drop like a foot, but then catch yourself with the wings. And it is a little bit noisy when you first start, but then the noise goes away as you flap and get higher. And you're back in the air.
Yeah, and she's tearing off after the direction that truck was going, and full like listening for it, looking for it, and especially now knowing that she's kind of approaching Ocean Grove, and knowing that like as a coastal city that like there's ferries, there's road, like it's not looking at the structure of the town when you're looking at the roads. If memory serves, a lot of it is more like kind of spider webbed around or like looping through. So she's thinking like, okay, I have a chance of catching this fucking thing. And she is taking off.
Roll me a perception check as the sky also, the twilight sky now has illuminated and you see everything. And with a 17, you find the van. You see it moving into the city now. I'm following it. The only thing I'm doing is getting a little bit of altitude, but I'm following it. It makes its way through Ocean Grove towards the harbor district. And you see that they pull in to a private dock, like a private docking area, drive down to a big building at the end of the docks. It's Dock 556. The side of the building, or that the building meets the road, a garage door opens. And they pull into this building. Next to the garage door is a regular sized door that has a sign above it that reads the same logo, the Rhubarb Biostudies logo. And as you kind of get here, the garage door closes behind the truck, and you circle and kind of watch over this building for a minute.
Warehouse district?
The harbor district.
Okay. Could you just ping for me on the map where the Chi warehouse is?
So you are here where the docks are. The warehouse isn't too far. I believe they're just on the other side right here.
That's what I thought. And I'm just flying around over top. Hey, also real quick, before I get too far away from this, when they open the doors, like when I could see in there, what did I get from seeing it for just a second?
As you kind of looked in, it was just a big kind of open warehouse. There were like stuff that you would have for boats. So like life jackets, what else? Fishing poles? I don't know. What other stuff do you have for a boat?
Anchors, bumpers that go
ropes.
On the side. Yeah, anchors. The This is California, so they don't winterize them, I guess. But like the big things that go over top to keep the water out, if it's like an open top boat. That's the other question. So I guess we'd know kind of what kind of boat it was from like the generic things that are around.
As you were like looking in, you saw all these parts of a boat kind of like off to the side. They look like spare parts. There's also animal cages in there, and you see that there is like a boat parked in the water. Like their dock kind of goes inside this big building.
It's like a covered. Okay.
And the boat's in there, and it looks like a boat that could transport animals. There's a covered back to it, and as like they go in, that back is opened, and you can see that there's another cage inside the boat area.
So not the boat from Jurassic Park 2 that they bring the T-Rex to the mainland on, which is where I thought you were headed with this.
So you just can't, it's not that big. No, it's smaller than that. But like same kind of concept, except same kind of concept as the not box truck. There's like a opening on the back of this boat, and you see a cage inside that opening.
It's got the things where it's got the perfect automated lift that like a hand that was bitten off could hold it, and it would just go.
Yeah, you get it.
Yeah, I gotcha. I've seen Jurassic
Just
Park
like
too.
Jurassic
Don't worry.
Park. Yeah.
We're about to loose this T-Rex on San Diego. Yeah, hey. Wild.
That's what you saw right before the garage door closed.
Okay. And now I'm flying around over top of the building. But I am flying over where the Chi are. So, ish. I mean, I'm circling. So I think I'm just going to kind of loop that circle out and just give down like a thought speak, like, anybody around? And that's specifically to the Chi that I know are the ones that I know. It's not to Katie. It's not to any ancillary Chi that are hanging around. It's only to the ones that I kind of know.
You don't get anything back.
They can't thought speak, so I'm still watching out for like 30 to 45 seconds.
So after 30 or 45 seconds, nothing happens.
She's gonna go fly over to what side of the dock are they on here?
We'll say they're on like the southern part, and then the Chi are up here. So you do have to fly a little bit away from the dock to thought speak far enough. But like you can still see the dock here now. But yeah, as you like kind of fly back over towards the dock, it's harder to see past the buildings to the Chi warehouse though.
That's fine. When the Chi did not answer, I think she's just gonna go fly onto like, I'm assuming there's like docks that are like, it looks like the whole thing is like kind of three sides are piers where boats would be moored and hanging out. I think she's gonna kind of go to the one that's the most directly across from there and like just get on top of like the boat that's moored out there. If it's like, you know, sailboat, she's gonna go to the highest point. If it's like a little speedboat, she's just gonna go into like the top of like the driver's covered part there. Like whatever it is, she's just gonna go land there and look across to like the open like door where the boat is, where they have the cougar, and just kind of listen in, watch out.
As you kind of land there, you see them wheeling the cougar into the back of the boat onto that lift, and then it drops down and the doors shut over the cougar. And then about 5 minutes later, after they seem to get everything right and ready, the boat starts to pull out into the bay.
Can I backtrack just like to when they were getting the cougar in the boat?
Yeah.
I think she's gonna go down to the dock. Is there anybody around, like using like full like senses? Can she hear anybody near her? Or is she kind of like in an abandoned, it's nighttime now on a dock and there's water noises and she can kind of get out of sight?
So the main dock that they're loading all this up in, there are a few workers in here.
On her side. On the opposite of them.
Yeah, you can find a pretty dark dock with nobody in it on the side you're on.
Cool. She's gonna go down there and demorph. And then hop in the water and start morphing. I am so torn right now, okay? I am so torn. Fuck it. So she's gonna... she's gonna go down, get in that water, and she's gonna like push off of where that dock is. Not that she's like a particularly strong swimmer. I think this is kind of like a nerve-wracking thing, but she's just trying to get a little bit of space. And so as she's like kind of panic treading water, the first thing that happens is she starts to get a little bit bigger. And then she kind of like sinks underneath and maybe like just kind of splashes a little bit. And like she's not a bad swimmer, but she's like, there's a lot of shit happening to her right now. She's already wearing her morph suit, which is just the black sports bra, the black skin tight pants. And that kind of clings to her as her body keeps growing and growing. And then her hands kind of, as she's like paddling with human hands, all of a sudden she gets kind of a little bit of like lift with it as they grow and flatten out and spread. And then her nose fully like forehead nose bubbles forward and kind of like bulges out into this big melon type rostrum. And her skin kind of keeps that like black of her morphing suit, and it keeps traveling up the back of her while the front of her turns the stark white, and then this fin protrudes out of the back of her, and she just keeps growing and growing in tonnage. And then eventually there is just this like sinking and then rising and big. It's the breathing of the orca whale as it comes up.
Bird of fur. And as you break the surface, roll a wisdom save.
Absolutely, I will. I knew it was dumb, and I did it anyway.
You don't have a high score to beat.
Don't fucking curse me like this. I'm sorry. Take your juju back.
Sorry, give it back.
Austin.
Give it back. I said it was pretty low. You almost lost to it.
Almost.
But you didn't.
But I didn't.
The mind of this orca floods over you, and you want to just, dive deep and go hunt, go find something in the water, but you're already on a hunt.
I sure am.
Savannah is hunting something, and that's when your mind takes back over.
I'm hunting rich people on a boat, just like all the orcas wanted. Savannah is going to, knowing a little bit about how they kind of work and dive and everything, she's literally just going to spend some time logging at the surface and filling her lungs with oxygen, because like she's gone from tiny human lungs to these sort of like much larger orca lungs. And so she's just going to, like whales do before they take a really deep dive, do that. Now that she's planning on that, she's just kind of preparing, and then she's underwater and she's just kind of listening out for the boat, for the motor and everything. And I think at some point she turns and she's like getting used to this massive body, so she's kind of like lolling over in the water and trying to focus in on that, and then she just lets out this burst of echolocation towards the boat.
You see a school of fishes over there, manta rays, going up towards the beach, getting some food. You see the boat on the surface moving further into the bay and out towards where the ocean is.
I think after a very brief, whoa moment where it's just that second of Savannah is so overjoyed to be doing this. This is genuinely the thing that makes her so happy in all of this. She's just gonna have that private moment of this is so cool. And then she's gonna slam that tail and just bolt off after that boat.
Easy enough to keep up with them. And they keep moving.
I think she's following them. I do want to continually, what kind of motor do they have? Is it loud? Is it quiet? Is it what are they doing?
It's quieter than just like a John boat that you have a motor on the end of it and
like swamp boat.
Yeah, it's quieter than a swamp boat because you can tell when you saw it, this is state of the art. It's meant to be, it's high tech, it's expensive, it's quiet. But you can still, hear it with your echolocation and everything.
Yes, but she's also staying back because she knows that the sound of her breathing, blowhole, is it's not a constant noise, so it's not going to go undetected. So she's staying a little further back, and she's also echolocating ahead to see both where they're going, but also like what they're approaching.
They're way slower than you. Like you could swim circles around this boat.
Fantastic.
At least at the pace that they're going at the moment, yeah. But as you like echolocate, after about 10 to 20 minutes, you get that there's like rocks that are kind of jutting up from the ocean floor and break the surface. And they seem to be heading towards there. You as Savannah know that about 4 miles out into the bay, there's an island called Daggermouth Island. And they seem to be approaching that. You know that there's some kind of building built onto Daggermouth Island, but that's all you know. You've just seen that there is a building built into it.
I'm gonna take off ahead of them then. I'm gonna just try to like go underwater, going ahead of them, and just kind of like see where they're going and what they're doing.
As you get closer to this island and start to like check around it, roll me an investigation check.
I wonder if the whale has better investigation than I do.
With an 11, as you kind of like circle around, even using your echolocation, it seems like a natural occurring island. Like there's no places that you can tell just circling around real quickly that you would have to climb up onto the island as a human to get on it. There's no obvious dock or anything like that.
All right. I at least kind of know where they're going.
Yeah, you can totally watch them. They're headed straight for the island.
I would like to go around to a spot where they're not going, and that it seems pretty dead. Like I'll even spy hop a few times just to check out like what's going on there. And then I'm gonna go up onto a beach.
Roll me another perception as you like kind of come up out of the water just to spy hop. Yeah. But yeah, there is a beach there that you could get to.
Sure.
Try that round. With a 21 and you kind of poking your head up and seeing where they're going, you notice that you just didn't catch it the first time. There's like a ramp that kind of leads up to the wall of the mountainside of this island, and there is a sleek gray metal door, garage door kind of, that is right there in the side of the mountain. Looks built into it. But it's obvious, like they're not trying to hide it or anything. It's not made of stone. It's just a sleek kind of cream colored metal with like gray highlights.
That's like a terrible colored paint metal.
They're idiots.
Just from an aesthetics perspective.
All right, let's switch it then. What's a good color to paint metal?
I mean, metal's already like, just make it like brushed metal.
It's just brushed metal.
I mean, maybe at best you could like use some sort of like paint that would like keep ocean water from corroding it too fast.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's what's on there. Obviously
that's what you said the first time.
Yeah. The audience, idiots.
So there is an island they are bringing animals to that have to have certain habitats, and they've thought, we're just gonna put them on this tiny island, so they're either killing them quickly or storing them in tiny inappropriate cages inside. And I mean, I guess theoretically it could open out into like an underground thing. It could be like a massive underground thing, but like I don't think they're going to be treating them well. This definitely feels like a Yeerkish kind of a thing for sure. This definitely feels like it's a nefarious sort of situation where they're doing some sort of experiment. They're getting big animals too, so like they're getting battle morphs is kind of what they're doing, and they're collecting them. And they've got superior technologies, which means you're gonna have to go in stealth, like theoretically. And here's the other thing. Like, here's the thing that nobody ever thinks through, that you really got to think through. At the end of the day, what are you going to do once you get in there? If there's a bunch of animals, what are we going to do? Not going to disable the boat. As much as I really, really want to, I'm not going to disable that boat because that could be the means of leaving. Will any of the animals in here be alive? Is Austin the dog killer going to become Austin the every other type of animal killer today? I guess there's only one way to find out. Alright, Savannah's going to power up this orca body, beach herself, and demorph on the beach. Like, opposite ways of, like, again, looking for a little area isolated away from where this boat is going in. You know, not have to walk 18 miles.
You do see as you're moving away from like where the boat can see you, you kind of can't see it, but you notice it's close enough that by the time you're finished demorphing, it's going to be inside the door that's going to open up for it. You beach and demorph in the wake, and you hear that door close off around the corner. But as you're here in the darkness of the waves crashing, roll me another perception check.
This is how I die.
How I die. Oh, you notice that you're at the base of like the mountain that sits on Daggermouth Island, and built into the mountain, you see up high 3 spires stretching up higher and higher, almost like a castle.
We've made it to medieval times. Surprise!
Yeah. This castle, though, doesn't look medieval timesy. It looks modernized. It's made of that same kind of metal that you saw built into the side of the mountain. Yeah.
Austin.
What?
My guy, did you just try to tell me this is a modern castle?
Yeah.
First of all, what do you think medieval times is?
A castle, a medieval castle that was made today.
So a modern castle?
This one's modernized. It's made of metal.
But still cinder blocks like stacked together. Just metal
cinder blocks. Yes. That is perfect. From here, you see those spires, and you see that there are elevators that sometimes will move up the spire on the outside.
To what? What's up top?
The point.
Right. What's up there?
You just see tinted glass windows on the different floors of the towers. But yeah, it just looks like almost like how skyscrapers look, but in the form of a spire, so it looks like a castle. Savannah, you've uncovered
a secret modern castle.
Yeah.
Hey, what the fuck?
All right, your feet are sinking into the sand underneath the water as you stand in awe at these spires.
Not in awe. Enraged. Enraged at the spires.
I thought you were going to be in awe.
What a stupid waste of resources and time, and this thing's been here since the inception of this story a few months ago. I mean, genuinely, like, there's ships up there. There's cloaked ships up there. That's what the spires are for. That's the only thing that fucking makes sense. Savannah's gonna go creep around and try to find a way in.
Roll an investigation check, but tell me what you're doing, like, as you're creeping around looking. Because, like, what you see mostly is a rock face, like the side of a mountain.
Sure, but there's like a door that the boat just went in.
Yep.
And like theoretically, there's going to be a human door around there because you got to service that garage door. It's in seawater. It's going to get eroded. People probably go in there. People need to be around there. They got to be by the door. If power goes out, you got to manually open the door. There's got to be a human door. There's got to be a way to sneak in. Also, how deep does that door go? Does it like close watertight? Also, maybe there's just a front door. Maybe there's just a kind of, it's on the beach. Maybe there's windows. There is windows. You just said there was windows all the way up the towers. She's definitely going to be looking in windows and try to figure out what the fuck is going on in there.
So before you get to like where the first window is for the spire, it's like 50 feet of mountain. And then like the spire kind of is built inside the mountain and kind of comes up out of it. So you can see like in the windows, but it's like looking from like into a window that's like, 6 stories up.
If it's lit internally, that's not necessarily completely...
It is, but the glass is tinted.
It's tinted so that you can't...
see into it.
With what?
Your eyes.
No. What is the... If it's internally lit, it doesn't... it'll help. It doesn't fully obscure if you're internally lit. Like, if you're backlit, you can still see some stuff through there. Like, probably not a lot of detail, but, like, there's still things you can see.
It's far enough away and tinted enough that you can't make out anything inside.
Do you want me to ask the other question that I've been trying to ask you?
Yeah.
Is there a way up this mountain face?
You might be able to do that.
Fuck yeah, let's rage.
I will say with your investigation check, since you rolled so high, for one, you do see a door, a human door near the garage door. The garage door goes down into the water, and if you... I'm going to say you don't go close enough because, like, as you go to try to investigate that more, you see a camera above the door, the human door. Also, because that is a high investigation check, you notice, like, a little crabby next to your foot crawl up out of the water and go, like, towards the base of the mountain. And when this crab touches the base of the mountain, you see a faint, very, very faint red light just expand out from where he touched. And it like goes in like a ripple across like the mountain face and then just kind of dissipates out. The crab doesn't look like it hurt it or anything, but it does kind of like get pushed back a little bit.
I'm just gonna real quick record that crab.
You got it.
So there's an entire force field around this. There's definitely ships up there, 100%. Why are they taking these animals? Why are they taking them? And how to get it? I mean, Deep Blue Sea it, right? There's probably... You can probably go under the garage door. How high does the force field go? I wish Aximili were here. I have a lot of questions. How high could the force field possibly go? At what point does the energy output outweigh... Doors are not it. Those are not... Well... Probably gonna be a bird. It's probably gonna be a bird if I'm gonna get in there. I don't think I missed anything underwater. I think it's gonna have to be a bird. Okay. This is so... It's the worst mission ever. What do I have? I could err on the side of potentially being able to see through this force field with a bird that can see the water, but it's dark. I don't have any daytime so I can see. Savannah's right by this force field, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can she just kind of real quick, like... You said it didn't look like it hurt when the crab touched it. Can she real quick, like, just kind of shove her hand in the sand, like, underneath... Theoretically, underneath where the force field would be?
You can. So, like, if you keep pushing in... Do you keep going till you hit like the mountain that would be underneath the sand?
Yeah, I think she's just trying to see like, is it resting on top of the sand or does it go like through the sand?
Okay, so you go underneath the sand and then you go all the way towards the mountain, and once you hit it, you see that red ripple expand out up out of the sand. Like it starts from where your hand hit and then expands out, and you see as you touch it, it goes boom, 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 and it keeps pulsing.
Oh, great. There's a warning system. She's going right back into the water. And I think genuinely, like, just kind of, like, kicking around and moving away from this. Like, the water is, like, kind of a cover to, like, morph if she has to, but, like, she's genuinely just kind of, like, kicking, swimming away from where like she touched the force field where it's like pulsating from.
Yeah, just as you hit your last kick and you kind of like push back into the water, you see a light from the top of the spire shine down onto the beach where you just kind of were and start looking around.
Okay. I think she's gonna swim around a ways. Like, you know, this beacon's here. She is getting away from it. She's gonna go like further down to like some, especially you said there's like rocks jutting up out of the water around the area. Are there just like one-off rocks as it kind of like tumbles away from the cliff, like kind of not attached to the beach, like isolated in the water? I think she's gonna try to find something like that she can crawl on top of.
Yeah, the waves are like kind of crashing into these rocks, so as you get towards those a little bit, it gets a little bit harder to swim. So give me an athletics check.
I don't know why you keep making me roll things instead of just saying like, yeah.
It's fun to roll.
It's not.
You get kind of like crashed up into a rock and like you lose your bearings and you're underwater for a minute and you end up washing back up towards the beach. But then you're able to like kind of stand up and.
Okay, how far am I from this like light and from this?
If you go up out of any closer to the beach, where that light's sweeping will probably hit you.
Then she's gonna try to like keep moving down away from it, keep going down the beach.
Because it's not just staying in that one spot; it is kind of
I've
sweeping
seen Lord
along
of the
that
Rings.
wall.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, you've been there.
I've seen the Eye of Sauron before. It's no big deal.
Yeah, you can move where you're at down the beach a little ways. If you want to go deeper into the water again, you'll have to give another athletics check.
No, I think she's just going to move down the beach. She's trying to find a place to go Greathorn. This is like her last ditch.
Actually, go ahead and give me a stealth check just as this light is going past. Let's see how
no
quiet you are. 15. Good enough.
Thank God.
You find a place where like the mountain kind of overhangs the ocean and there's like a spot that you can kind of get to that's just out of the wake of the waves. It would probably be a good place to Animorph if you don't see any cameras around or anything like that.
I mean, nothing's safe out in this weird high-tech hellscape, but she will go to Owl.
Yeah. 30 seconds later. You are a great horned owl, though.
Yay, she's gonna fly up and up.
As you finish your morphing, your eyes illuminate and you're kind of looking out into the water. You take off and you go up and you see that a faint shimmer around the whole spires, the building and everything. You can tell this is probably that force field that you can touch. Now that you're an owl, you can kind of see in a little bit of a different spectrum and faintly make that out. As you climb higher and higher, you notice that in between these spires is a courtyard. So like the spires, as you climb up and you can kind of see down in them, they're connected by like walkways, enclosed hallways that connect the spires like where the mountain is. And each walkway has a balcony on it with metal rails that kind of line it. And they all surround this huge courtyard that looks like it's about 3 football fields side by side. So like 3 by 2, that long of
How convenient
of
for
an
landing
area.
Spaceships.
How convenient. You don't see any spaceships though, just a kind of like a grassy field. There are some like under some of the overhangs of the balconies, you do see cages, animal cages, nothing in any of them. Yeah, that's kind of what you see flying up and around here.
Animal cages. Okay, why did they put grass up there?
This looks to be the ground part of the island that would sit like the bottom parts of where the mountain would be. This is just like a grass field. They've built these spires into the mountains, and the courtyard is just the ground of the mountain.
These are not freestanding spires that kind of are suspending a courtyard in between them. This is like the spires are built into the rock face, and at one point it plateaus. The spires still go up, and it's like a large grassy kind of area.
No, so it's like the spires are the towers of the castle, and then you have like the walkways that connect the towers, and then below that is the courtyard. So like there's walls that go from the walkways to the ground of the island, and then the ground of the island is just the courtyard that's surrounded by the spires in the mountain.
So you've built a literal old ass castle, and I can just kind of see down into the part.
Yep.
You sure put a lot of dungeons and castles in our modern Dungeons and Dragons game.
Well, sometimes you gotta adapt. Guess what else you see as you're just flying around up here?
I'd love to know. What else do I see?
You see a man.
A man? That's awful.
Yeah, he walks out into the courtyard. And he looks around.
I hate that for him.
Why, you don't want him to see things?
I don't want him to see anything.
You don't want him to see you.
I don't want him to see fucking anything.
Well, good, because he takes off his glasses and he starts to wipe them.
Is he like a little blonde kid? Would you say looks a little bit like Macaulay Culkin?
I wouldn't say that. I would say...
Austin, he can't see without his glasses.
I would say that this is kind of like a shorter man, 5'6" or 5'7". I don't know why I said short king is what I meant. And he has brown straight hair that kind of sits on his head and like stylized to the left. You can't quite make out his facial features as you're looking because his like head's looking down as he's cleaning his glasses. But then he looks back up to the sky, puts them back on, and then you notice who it is. It's your dad. And as he puts his glasses back on, he squints up into the sky towards you. And then someone calls his name. Benjamin, enough playing outside. We have work to do. And your mother emerges, puts her hands on her hips. The cougar has arrived, the niece says. And your dad looks at her and nods. And they both go back into this castle. Lightning crashes as a storm begins. The raindrops hit, and you see the shimmer of that barrier you saw. You see them stop at different places and kind of slide down the barrier during this storm. This is kind of like a flash storm that Ocean Grove gets sometimes, where it's just like one area, it'll rain for really hard for just a minute.
Storm. Got it.
Yep, and this cloud doesn't seem to stretch to the mainlands. It only seems like it's above this island.
Okay, I can see the rain on the barrier now. How high does it go?
The rain hits it, and you can kind of see, it's sliding down, and you get a good sense of it. It's just coating the spires, the walls of the facility, the mountainside that it's built into, but like the surrounding area of the island doesn't have it on it. The courtyard doesn't have it on the ground part, but like it is on the hallway, the railings and the walls that make up the castle. But like just on that courtyard part, not there.
So I can get in through the top.
You could fly down to the courtyard, yes.
She's gonna.
You fly down to the courtyard, and as you stand in this wide area, you just see a few different doors on all sides of you. At the end of this place, you see cages lined. You still can't see in any of the buildings or anything like that. Like, it looks like these windows are made to keep people from looking in. Drones, helicopters, people that are flying around. It looks like they're trying to keep people from seeing inside this building. And just down in this courtyard, there looks to be things like exercise equipment, like that you would use to help exercise animals. Like, have you ever seen like pit bulls pulling weights and stuff like that?
Bro, I've seen a thoroughbred on a treadmill. Yeah.
Stuff like that. They have that kind of stuff around. They do have like obstacle course equipment that's kind of pushed up to the sides of the walls right now, that they could just bring out onto this courtyard area to train. And this courtyard is made for animals to do stuff.
What can I hear at this point? Also, I've seen this force field and everything, and initially I've been around some alien technology at this point. Does this strike me as like, this is humans came up with this, or is this like, this is a really weird advanced facility?
So I'm going to answer that for you for free, but roll me a perception check before you land, before you land in the courtyard as you're going down.
Okay.
This 100% is not anything like any kind of human technology you've seen. It definitely is not human technology. This is like nothing you've ever seen. It kind of reminds you of the blast doors that were at the Yeerk River, except this is invisible to your naked eye.
The blast doors at the Yeerk River specifically.
That were keeping people in, the energy fields, the big red energy walls that kept the prisoners locked in.
Got it. Okay, I remember.
Yeah. But as you are kind of looking around, as you get closer and closer to the ground, I will say before you land, just so you know, this whole courtyard is illuminated. There are like spotlights shining down on it.
Then I am not landing. I am swooping. Yeah. No. Sorry. I thought it was dark.
Yeah, I didn't say it was lit, so that's it's all good. But yeah, you swoop down still above the lights so nothing can see you, and you kind of look around in there, and that's what you see. The things for animals.
Can I, like, are the lights that are illuminating it part of, like, can I land on top of one of those, or will I be zapped?
You can try. The lights do connect to the spires.
Okay.
You do see where the force field is. If you land on the lights, it's going to activate the thing.
Then I'm not. I'm just going to stay over top. Okay. Then I am just listening for a second. Like, what the fuck?
It's eerily quiet. Like, so you hear the waves crashing. You hear the sounds of the crabs skittering out on the beach. But you can't hear within this building. Like nothing. Like it's completely cut off from you. And that's unusual.
Yeah, that is unusual. She can't stay aloft forever. So she is going to kind of go back out over top and go back down towards that same spot where she had morphed before. And I think she's going to go down there and hang out for a second and morph and just kind of think about what to do. Man. And then she knows some of the technology. Like, there's some, you know about some of the technology. And, like, there's no way that it's going to be easy to get in there. There's got to be. It's not going to be a walk-in through a door thing. It's going to be finding a weakness thing. I'm torn between attempting to get in and look around, and I have an idea of how to do that, or going back because no one knows where she is or what she's doing. And if she bites it doing this, you know, it'll be a little bit before they find out. Can't go under it. Can go over it.
Gotta go through it.
Okay, I have two ideas about how maybe to get in here. Can't hear anything from in there, so the force field is not only a warning system, although the only thing that seemed to happen was light. Didn't see what happened when you find something. It's by size. Didn't send warnings over for the tiny crab, but it did send warnings over for a human-sized something. Covers the whole thing. It's lit up top. It's deadened. I assume that the doors are probably insect-proof. except for the boat door. The boat door can't be closed. Gotta work with the water. Can a force field go in the water? Probably. But it wouldn't be on the door. What a wild fortress you've made. And you're still all the way up at the top. In the cages. There's more up there. There's the spires with the elevators. Top of the spires. Should have checked that out. Did not.
You didn't see anything, any of the rain hitting anything at the top except the spires, if that helps.
I don't know if it does. I mean, it's a cockamamie scheme, but what are we to do if not? If not?
If not.
There's a camera over by the door. By the human door. What else is around that door, like, that I noticed when I came in, like, as the orca or, like, flying around? What else have I noticed about the door where the boat came in?
Door by where the boat came in, you notice that there is the camera. There's a keypad looking thing next to the door that looks just like a buzzer, like a microphone and a buzzer to talk to somebody, like you would have in an apartment, you know, that you buzz somebody up.
Still gotta get that penthouse, even when they're fucking with Yeerk technologies.
Mm-hmm. Not too much else around that door. There's like railing near it to, like, you know, so you can not fall over.
I just need to get closer. I need to get closer. I'm gonna take off again and circle around that door. I'm looking for another, like, little alcove that's closer to that door that I can hang out in. That's not by the camera.
I'll say, as you kind of notice this door, it's set in like a pretty flat area in the mountainside.
Sure.
If there is an alcove, it is the alcove.
And how far away is that from that door?
Like 50-ish feet, yeah. You did see, when you were flying, like, above the spires, there are cameras out there, like, definitely that point into the courtyard. Each light, you notice, has a camera on it as well. So this place is not, like, lacking in cameras. It's just this part only has one.
All right, I'm going to try it. I'm going to give it one last college try. Savannah's going to go back in that alcove. She's going to demorph from owl. And then she's going to morph again. So the first thing that happens is all of her skin suddenly crisps up, like it's caught fire and has burned into a kind of husk. And then her whole body is just going to kind of like and like widen out as this carapace takes over everything. And then her face kind of starts to like split open as her eyes kind of like come apart, and then two giant antennae like push out of the front of her body, and more of like on her back, more of that like kind of hard like carapace shell just kind of puffs up, and there's like kind of a little like movement underneath that you can't see but you can hear, and it almost sounds like when there's like something loose inside of an acorn, and you can like hear it like rattling around and moving in there, and you can hear that like all the way down her back as that's happening. And then she just disgustingly starts to like shrink while still like moving widthwise apart, and then the legs start shooting out from her midsection. And you know, you love it. You love to see it.
Are you a crab or a cockroach?
You love a good cockroach.
All right, yeah, you're a cockroach.
Awesome. Did you know that they can hold their breath for up to half an hour underwater?
Ooh.
Because I do.
That would be helpful.
Sure will. Over towards that door, towards that big garage door that the boat went in.
So now we'll remind you that the waves, as they kind of crash against the side.
Yeah.
All right.
Trying to avoid that desperately.
You move, kind of sticking to the wall where the waves aren't hitting. You crawl over to the garage door, and you notice as you're kind of crawling on the wall, it's not rippling.
Wild. Okay. Hey, keep on keeping on. Just going over to that door, to that garage door.
You get to it.
And I go. Is it like it's like a real garage door, like a real door?
I'm thinking more like more industrial than like what an actual garage door is. Like this is a high-tech castle on an island in the middle of the ocean. It's not just a regular garage door. It's just that way is the way it opens up.
I guess I'm wondering more, like, is it on tracks that leave a gap, like, that a cockroach could, like, try to scooch through, like, where, like, if it opens in those sections and the wheels are going up, is it in that kind of inlaid track?
There is a little bit of a gap. It's going to be hard for you to get through it.
She'll give it a little bit of a shot, a hesitant shot.
You crawl up to this entrance of the garage door, and you do feel like a little resistance as you kind of go to get into this crevice. And with your like antenna, you can kind of sense, I guess, the force field is stopping you from moving in. It's not radiating or anything, but it's keeping you from moving into any of the gaps.
But the wall didn't have a force field on it.
The wall did, it just wasn't radiating. Like when you touched it and when the crab touched it, it's not doing that. But it's also not letting you pass through to get into the garage.
I gotcha. It just wasn't, yeah, and which is fully what I expected, because it didn't set off for the crab. Why would it set off for cockroach? I think I just want to make a few more like checks, like around the door, like to see if there's any gaps or like weaknesses, or like if there's a little bit, like, does it look like the force field kind of like bottoms out below the water? Like it is, I'm just kind of like antennaing around.
Give me an investigation check. And just to like let you know, the crab did, when it touched it, there was like a ripple that came off when the
it was
crab
just
touched
it was
okay.
really like tiny though.
Yes,
right
right.
And
yours was darker and bigger,
and then like the lights came down, so like there's clearly, that's what I meant, is like there's some sort of like way to detect this is a small touch versus this is a big touch, and it's only going to react to those that are problematic of a certain size.
You're right. You got it.
Sweet.
You kind of look around and are kind of trying to gauge this force field where it ends. I don't know how good cockroaches can see.
Light dark more than anything else. I think it's more of the sense, like using the antenna to sense like the force field kind of a thing.
How would that do? Okay, so yeah, you're kind of crawling on the wall, and I will say you feel like some vibrations as something underneath the surface of the water kind of touches the garage door, and you feel that the pulse go over, but it's the lighter one. It's the same kind that the crab had, not the kind that you had.
A teeny fish?
Yeah. Yep.
Aw, a little fish.
But you can kind of deduce from that it extends below the water surface.
I think where she's at now at this point is like the only way into this building is going to be through one of these doors when it opens, or through that training field up top to one of those doors. Because theoretically, those are, I mean, there's still stuff on them. There's still force field on them. They still have to be opened. Probably wouldn't be locked. What is this place? Why is this place? I should probably be more upset that my parents are probably controllers. I think at this point she's gonna go back to that, like crawl back to the place where she knows she can kind of morph undercover, demorph from cockroach. And I think it's retreat and come back another day. Knowing what she knows now. Thinking about what other ways will there be to get here. And I think Shorty has an idea, but she's not quite sure how to pull that off. She has an idea. So I think she's going to go back to that alcove and demorph. And then get back into that water. Probably just kind of like dive under and kick away and start morphing. And she's going to go back to Orca because it's rad as fucking hell.
And yeah, you swim off into the bay and decide to figure this out another day when you've had some time to think. Where do you head?
Pacific Towers, I guess. It's there. That's probably the closest place to go home.
And by now, it's approaching like 9 p.m. You get back to Pacific Towers. The bell dings, and greeting you is a possum just shaking his tail back and forth, running back and forth at the entrance as you walk in.
Awesome. She's absolutely going to grab his face and give him kisses on his head and pets and dinner and take him on a walk and all that stuff. And then, of course, come back for whipped cream.
All of that and, kind of getting settled in takes you about an hour. And a little bit after 10 o'clock, just as you're ready to settle down for bed, the bell bings and Kamren kind of walks in looking kind of tired, just kind of waves at you, but keeps moving towards the couch and kind of lays down on it. Not too many words before you hear like his breathing deepen as he falls asleep.
Savannah, frustrated sigh. Absolutely frustrated sigh. But she will grab like back of the couch blanket, put it over him. But the whole time, she's her normal amount of quiet, which is relatively quiet, but for her not quiet, just has a whole room. Prepared a whole room. Put new sheets on, new comforter, new pillowcases. Yet he comes to the couch. Now I can't stay on the couch. Now I have to leave. Why would I do this? Why do I do anything?
And Kamren jumps up.
Savannah's just walk into her room.
Yeah, and as you walk into your room, Possum comes behind you into the room as you close the door.